Let me hear myself and see how I sound. Okay. Can I hear myself? Brings up nice and bring it up nice and close. Is the audio coming through? Let's wait in here. Yes, I can. All right, perfect. That's all good. Okay, so we'll be starting soon. Give me a moment. Okay, let's fix this mic up. And what are we going to do? There we go. That's that. All right. So what do I need to do now? I need to pop this out. There was a few things I need to get done. No, pop that there. Pop that there. There we go. Pop that nice and down. And finally, where's OBS? Good old OBS. There we go. We can pop that down there. Perfect. Okay. Well, that's sorted out. Got this sorted out. I think, oh, we need to start recording. That's right. So have your questions ready? I think I did skip last week because I was feeling a bit sick, but I'm feeling a lot better now. So really didn't want my sniffling nose to be forever immortalized on the tubes. So yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever skipped it because I was sick. I knew it was going to happen eventually. There we go. Everything's on. Yep. Local recording, and we are good to go. Okay. Good, good, good. That's done. That's done. And I think that's it. All right. So if you have any questions, please send them across. Be more than happy to help out. If you have any other random Drupal questions, why not? Chuck them in there. Let's have a bit of fun, eh? All right. So before we go on, let me double check. Everything's ready to go. Talking about workflows. Yes, content workflows. All right. Okay, let's be honest. There's going to be no Drupal AI stuff and no Drupal canvas. I feel like that's all what people really want these days. But anyway. But that's all right. You could do. Hey, I'm trying to think, how could you do workflows and AI? Or you could actually create an agent that changes and checks for older content. Or you could do something, yeah. Yeah, you could do. You could create an agent that goes through your older content and you integrate the agent with, say, Google Analytics or your analytics tool that can track the links and the conversion, and then you can probably go ahead and modify the piece of content. There you go. No, it's something I just thought of right now. All right, let's. Oh, we don't need that one. And finally, all right, cool. So let's switch over to this. And just before we begin, I just have to mention that I do have a premium community over at webwash.net, and I'm in the process of just uploading a whole bunch of these live streams ad-free. Some of them are as courses. So if you come in here, click on courses, these are edited down into separate videos. I am in the process of just finalizing the Twig live stream. But I'm also at the same time, I do want to get all of my existing live streams on WebWash and also ad free as well, because sometimes some of these live streams may not be converted into courses. Like, it's really not necessary, but it's still good to offer a ad free, better experience where you're not listening to ads on YouTube. And I am in the process of trying to figure that out. Maybe I'll put it somewhere here, because essentially I do have these. So I'm thinking of utilizing the post when I upload it. And then if you are logged in and you have a premium account, you do see the ad-free version of the video. And I can kind of do that just by conditionally showing it if you're logged in or not. But then you get all this other information as well. So yeah, anyway, I'm just trying to push that because yeah, I really do enjoy these videos and it's a good way to support the community. And it's right now 99 euros lifetime access. It will eventually become a subscription, but for now it is not. So make the most of it. All right, just wanted to do that. No more ads for now. For now, who knows? All right, so how are we going? Are we ready to rock and roll? I think we are. Okay, let's get into it. So build content workflows. So let's jump over here and get into it. As you can see, this is a standard Drupal site. So that's the way it is, standard Drupal. So let's jump right into it. Okay. So how do you manage content workflows in Drupal? Well, the quickest and easiest way is to just use the standard content moderation module that comes with Drupal core. And yes, you can go ahead and create your workflows, and that essentially works off the revision. So the revision of the content plays a huge part because you assign states to specific revisions. Now that works pretty well for most use cases, but there are situations where you want to have the actual workflow or the state on controlled at the field level. So tonight we're going to be looking at a few ways that you can add in content workflows into Drupal. The first one will be utilizing content moderation, which comes in core. Like, you don't have to install anything extra. If you install content moderation, it then installs the workflows module. And the second module we're going to take a look at is called field states transitions. Now, this one allows you to manage state or transitions at a field level. And it gives you these nice little diagrams, and you can control a few things through a YAML definition, which is quite common in Drupal. Well, everything's a YAML when you think about it. Config is a YAML. Web forms started off as YAML forms, and now you can control this stuff from YAML. And then, speaking about web forms, we're going to take a look at adding workflows to web form submissions. So if you want to create a web form and you want to track the submission through through some type of custom workflow. So if you have a contact us form and you want to track your leads, or if you have a jobs form and you want to track your candidates, you can do that with the Webform Workflows Element. Now, apologies if I do miss a module, because there were a bunch of modules out there and I did have a play with them, but I kind of struggled with a few of them, and some of them just gave me fatal errors when I started using them. And so to make sure that the stream goes nicely, I like to choose modules that are pretty easy to set up and also offer good functionality. So if I did skip your favorite workflow module, please let me know and I can cover it in a future video. So with that, let's just jump right in and take a look at content moderation. So I have chosen standard Drupal, and you can see because we're using a good old Claro backend theme, which I do believe is going to be changed in 11.3, because we're now on 11.2. 11.3 will get Gin. So all of a sudden my videos are going to start looking dated. Anyway, that's a good reason to update them. So let's start things off by just installing content moderation. And it's going to go ahead and install the workflows module as well. So if we come here and click on add content, let's go ahead and create a piece of, well, create a test article, okay? Right down at the bottom here, we have published. So Drupal's default functionality is you can publish or unpublish content, and that is it. Now, when I say Drupal, I do mean Drupal core. Drupal CMS comes with content moderation already installed. But standard Drupal, all you can do is publish and unpublish content. Now, for 50% of workflows, I say 50% because believe it or not, having content moderation is pretty important. So we publish our piece of content and we're done. Okay, if we want to unpublish it, we can do that just by unpublishing it. But that's about it. And it's not that flexible. Okay, what happens if you want to create a draft revision, but also have a published revision? This is where content moderation can help you. And so by using content moderation, you can have your revisions follow a specific workflow. So you can create a draft revision, you can create an in progress, you can create a needs review, reviewed, and then you can finally have a published version. But most importantly, and this is where I think Drupal's content moderation workflow is very powerful, is that, and I'm sure other CMSs offer this, but Drupal just has it out of the box. And that is being able to have a live published revision, but then also have a draft revision, an in-progress revision, and then the public, anonymous users, just access the live revision, but you can still go ahead and make your changes. And that is very powerful, because obviously other CMSs out there that do not offer this functionality out of the box. Maybe you need to install a plugin or something and pay for it, but they don't offer this out of the box. So let's quickly go ahead and just set it up. So I've installed content moderation. And if we go to configuration, we should see workflows right here. And we do get the standard editorial workflow. And it's pretty easy to use this one. It comes with 3 states essentially: draft, published, and archived. So you define your state. That is essentially the state of your content. And then you define your transitions. So here we have create new draft. And if we edit that, that means from draft and published, it can go then to draft. And then with published, it can go from draft and published to published. Now this confuses me. So if you're trying to set up transitions and you're kind of struggling on how to put it all together, 9 times out of 10, for me, it's kind of like a brute force. You just keep making changes until you get it working the way you want it to work. Trust me, I've tried to understand it. Like I've configured it enough to fully understand it, but a few times I have kind of configured things and then broken it, and it's like, why can't I go from this transition to this transition? But it is a kind of a hard thing to kind of define in a UI. So don't worry if you don't get it right the first time, just keep playing around with it and that's it. So to configure this, we can add it to blocks, content, and taxonomy. Now, one thing to be aware of is that I do believe that content moderation only works on revisionable entities. So that's why it only works on blocks, content, and taxonomy. Now, chances are there's probably a module that integrates a media with it, but I do believe it just works with revisionable entity. So if we click on, say, content types, we can select it and we can then add it to a content type and an entity type. So a content type in this example can only have one workflow assigned to it. You can't have multiple workflows assigned to it. So let's just click on that, click on save. And now what we can do, we can come along in here, click on create, and I will create my first article, and then first article as the body. And now we get this little drop down where we can save as. So we can save it as draft or published. So if I leave it as draft, it then just saves it as as a draft. And we can also change the moderation state from here as well. If we go back into here, we can make our change and again, save it as draft. But then once we're ready, we can switch it to published. And this means it will be officially published. Okay, so hooray, job done. Now, 6 months from now, you want to make a change to it. What you can do is come in here and edit. And if you leave it set to published and make a change, it will automatically publish those, will publish that revision. So you're essentially just modifying the published version. However, if you want to create a draft revision, all you need to do, put that in here, make it bold, kind of like me. Set it to draft. Now you're not changing the published revision. We set that to draft, and now up the top here, you will see we have a latest version and we have a view tab. The view tab is the published revision. The latest version is the latest draft or in progress or any unpublished revision. Because as soon as you publish a revision, that is considered published. And if I go to configuration, go here, where is it? Let's go to edit. Yeah. You can see here that this published state has this published checkbox, which means that when the content reaches this state, it should be published. So when I'm saying the word published here a lot, but essentially you have completed the workflow, if you would call it that. Yeah, why not? You have reached a particular state when you have published the revision. And now we can see the draft version, but we can also see the published version here as well. And if I open up incognito, we see just the first article. However, if I, well, not do that, let's pop that there, pop that there. What's the URL for that? Oh, okay, /latest. It'll be, I get an access denied because I'm not logged in and I can't get access to it. Okay, so that's exactly how it's meant to work. Then if I come along in here and I publish it, go ahead. Well, that's going to still be access denied. But if I go to the content, I can see now the draft version, which has been essentially published, and that's it. Okay. So that in a nutshell is the content moderation module. Now, if we go to revisions, we can see all of our revisions right here. And you can see that we do have multiple revisions. And oh, the other thing is, let me just create another draft for you. And I've done that. And if we go into manage content, moderated content, we can then see our draft or unpublished revision right here. We can see it all right here. And then as soon as we publish it, it is, where is it? Here we go. It is forever gone and it's no longer here. So this is a great way of just managing to see your published revisions. All right, so that in a nutshell is content moderation. Now let's go ahead and actually create a new workflow with a user account. And we'll create a separate user account for it. So let's go into configuration, workflows, add workflow, and I'll call this one documentation. And I'll select as the workflow type, content moderation. And here we have draft and published, which is great. It's exactly what we want. And then let's create another one and we'll call this one needs review. And click on save. And let's go down here and save it. So the three states that we have is draft, needs review, and published. Now with the transition, the only one we need to do, well, let's put in, well, no, let's start off with new draft. So new draft will have all of them. So we can go from any of these back to draft, which is correct. Then we need to go to needs review. So that will have, again, well, no, draft needs review, and then that goes to needs review. And finally, let's move that there. And finally, down here, we have draft published, and then that can go directly to published. All right, done. And now we can add this to, let's add it to basic page. And you can see how article cannot be selected. Okay, remember that article cannot be selected. And let's just save and hit save. All right, now let's go ahead and create a content editor. So test, content editor, and let's just give it the content editor role. And then we can go ahead and add in a few permissions. So if we go all the way down to content moderation, where is it? Moderation, workflows, no. It'll be content moderation right here. Oh, actually I think, what is it? I can search for it up the top here. So we'll give all three to ourselves. So unpublished, oh, what is it? Unpublished, I should see any unpublished content. That's correct. Then it's basic page. I want to see revisions. Yep. View revisions, content, and then what is it? Content access page, I think it is. Roles are so much fun. So access the content overview. No, not that one. Access the content overview page. That's correct. That's good. And then the last one is, I think, admin, what is it? Toolbar. That's fine. And administration, there's two of them. Use admin. Oh, okay, perfect. All right, that's all done. So now if we come along in here and log in, what is it? Content editor. And I'll copy that. And we have content up the top here. Perfect. Click on add. And we can see our account. So here I can type in test page, test, and create that. And this is set at draft. But if I go to content, moderated content, you will notice that we can't see anything. Now, the reason for that, believe it or not, is we have to make a slight change to a view. So let's go to content, moderated content, and even here we can't see it. And the reason for that, I believe, is one of these ones. Let's select publish. So we do not want to see published. Oh, that's pretty much it. But then I do believe it's expose, and we want to see draft and is one of. So now we can see it. Because we added in our own workflow, we had to put that option in. And then you can go ahead here, modify it, make a change, set it to needs review, and then published. And you're done. And there you go. That is how you can easily set it up. But as I mentioned, everything's tied to the revision, and a content type or the entity type that's using it can only use one workflow. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to content moderation. So just make sure you have both content moderation and workflows installed. Now let's take a look at build states transition, because this allows you to add add state and transitions, hence the name field states transitions, but it does it at the field level. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility because I haven't tried this, but you could technically have multiple fields. So you may have a situation where a piece of content can be in multiple states. Who knows? I don't know. So go ahead and download it and just grab the latest version for Drupal 11. And look at that, future-proofing themselves. Great for Drupal 12 as well. Now I've already gone ahead and downloaded it. So all I need to do is, let's close this, go to extend and search for field states and click on install. Well, that was pretty quick. Then click on structure and content types, and I'll create a new content type called event. And I'll add in a field, and you should see states transitions as a field type. And this field type will be called, what am I going to call it? All right, stream status. And now we need to add in all of our different statuses. So just imagine you're creating a content type for live streams, essentially. So for me, that'll be, I'll have scheduled as one option. The other option is live, once it's ready for live. Then another option will be ended, because the stream has ended. And the last one will be archived. And there we go. And you can configure a few things down here, but let's just leave that as it is for now and click on save. And now if we go back, you do have to go back and forth a fair bit. You want to make sure that your allowed values are set. I have had issues sometimes where you quickly type it out, and if you don't click out of these items, it probably doesn't trigger some type of on-click event, and it doesn't save the options correctly. So make sure you do that. So if we scroll down, we can see our standard. You can see now we straight away get this nice little diagram, and we get these options right here. So there are a few things we can do. Okay. If you click on these options, you can see what is available. You can add in specific roles to it. You can add in actions, you can add in workflows, but you do a lot of it through the YAML file. Now you can control it from here. So I do believe you can adjust a few things here. But what I'll do is I'll put in my example that I've got here. And that's going to set up the workflow, and let's click on save. And now we get this nice little flow, which has been set up. And you can see here that, yep, the states, we have scheduled, live, ended, archived, but then we have the transitions. So for scheduled, it goes, well, the from is the first one, so that's nothing, and then it's to scheduled. Then we have start stream, which is from scheduled to live. And then ended goes from live to ended. And then we have archived, which is ended to archived. And then you have rescheduled as well. So what we can do is we can save this. Well, we have saved it. And then let's go here, add content, event. And our first one, let's just set it to scheduled. So test stream. And we can easily then go through the different states. And this is actually pretty cool because it's just a single button and that's it. So you can easily just go through your individual workflow transitions just by clicking a button. And then of course, when there's multiple when there's multiple paths, you can either archive it or you can reschedule it. And then you can easily switch between it, which is pretty cool. And or like that. And then from here, you have this nice little drop down if you want to change the actual states. But this is the transitions. Now, if we go and edit our, where's that content type? Where are you? Here you go. Content types, manage fields, and then edit the stream, or stream status. If you click on one of these, you can add in an action. Now, I did get an error, and I do believe it's a Drupal 11 bug that you'll probably have to patch to get this action to work. And then you can set off these workflows. Now, this workflow does send a notification to Firebase. I checked in the code. But this is the one that I'm pretty interested in because you can then control which role can run the actual transition. So with this one, which is start stream, let's set it so that content editor can modify that. And straight away you'll see here, take a look here, you will see role over here called role and then content editor. And you can also grab this and then set it over here as well. And we click on save. All right, there's a comment here on LinkedIn. All right, scheduled means it can be published on a certain time. Well, if you've configured it, there is, well, when it comes to content moderation, I'm not sure about this field statuses transition, but with content moderation, there is a module that integrates it with scheduler module. So take a look at that. All right, so let's now give this a go. So well, before I do that, I need to be able to create an event. So let's go ahead, go here, and I need to view revisions, create, delete own, and edit own. And there we go. And now what I can do is come along in here, add content, event, new, live stream, add that in, select scheduled. Then I can start it, then I can end it, but I can't do anything else until we come back here, and then I can either archive or schedule it. Or sorry, reschedule. And that is all because I was able to add the role in the YAML file. So you can see there is a lot you can do with this module. And it just gives you that little bit of flexibility. It actually gives you a fair bit of flexibility, let's be honest. So we'll come back in here. Scroll all the way down. And you can see that, yeah, just by putting in role, we were able to manage all of that. So if you want to add in some type of basic workflow to a piece of content through a custom field, then I'd highly recommend that you check out Field Statuses Transitions. Now, the final module I want to take a look at tonight is called Webform Workflows Element. WWE. Oh, there you go. I didn't even think of that. WWE, yes. Webform Workflows Element. This allows you to add just workflows to webform submission data. Now, setting this up is pretty straightforward. What you can do is just come down here and download it. Make sure you grab version 2, of course, because if you're on Drupal 11, you will need it. And what I can do is close this, and I'll go and install, Webform UI, because that just installs everything. And then if I type in element, I should see Webform Workflows Element. There we go, that one. And there you go. And you also need the core workflows module, but we already have it installed because we have content moderation. So what we can do is come along in here, click on workflows, and we need to click on add and then select a new workflow type called webform workflow. And this one I'll call content workflow. And the first state will be new. And let's add in a second state that will be in review. And the last one will be, what's that going to be? Contacted. So I just want to add this to a web form where somebody submits some type of information, and then I can hand it over to some salesperson and they can just take it through. Yes, this is a new submission, it's in review, and they've been contacted. And now what we need to do is just set up our basic transition. So there's really only two transitions, I believe. So there is start review. So that'll be from new to in review. And then the last one will be mark as contacted. So that will then go from in review to contacted. And that's it. And let's just click on save. And now what we need to do is go over to web forms. And here we have the standard, well, the first basic web form. Just going to keep the default, and that's it. Click on build. And let's click on add element. And I'll search for element right here. Call this one workflow. And let me make sure I'm on the other side. There we go. Much easier. And here on the right-hand side, you can see a few options. Well, first of all, we need to select our contact workflow. So we have our workflow there. And you do have a few options where you can make things visible for the user, but we don't want to have to worry about that for now. Let's just leave everything as it is and click on save. And if we, let me go to this page as an anonymous user, fill things out, and click on save message. And now what we can do is come back here. And if we go to structure web forms, let me just move myself back. There we go. We can see, well, no, actually, let's go into our web form, build, no, results. We'll get there eventually. We can see a workflow operation here, a workflow field. And if we click and go into our actual submission, we can see our transitions right here. So the first one will be start review. And then the second one is marked as completed. So you can imagine, okay, just imagine you have a whole ton of workflows. You can add a little message here for the admin, but this one to submitter shows it on the submission on the actual submission if you've given access to the actual submission. And then finally, you can mark it as completed. Now, we do not have a transition that goes back, but we can easily add that in. Okay, you can easily just go ahead and add that in. But in this case, we're just going to leave it out because it's not really necessary. So you can easily just chuck it back in. So then if we go back, let's go back to our form. There are a few other options. Yes, if you click on workflows up the top here, you can see the transitions. You also have a bit of information down here. And if you edit, so let's go back into build. Well, I'll move myself back to the left-hand side. So we can see on the right-hand side, and if we go to access, you do have the ability to override access for specific transitions based off a role. So this is where you can control which user or which role can make changes to the transition. So I showed you that with content moderation and the field state transitions. And you can also do that with this Webform Workflows element. And if you click on settings and then email handlers, you do get this new handler called Workflow change email. So this triggers an email at a specific transition change. So you may want to set it so that when it's marked as completed, it gets sent to somebody. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's click on that. And what we can do is set it to marked as completed. So select that, marked as completed, leave everything as it is, and then just click on save. But you can go ahead and modify and change the email. And then if we click on save handlers, and what I'll do is I'll move myself back to the right-hand side. I will go to, what is it? Status. That's what I want. I want mail pit. I want this. This actually captures all outgoing emails. It's a great way to test things out. You see that, this is probably from my tests. Okay. So now we have an empty inbox. And if we go back here, and if we add in some information, send message. Okay. Now there is already an email that gets sent off. So that is a message for us. But so if we come along in here, you will see that you do have 2 confirmation messages. But the one that we want is this one. And we'll only receive that email once it goes through the standard transitions. So let's go to results, edit, and if we set this to start review, all right, we don't see any extra. Let's delete whatever's there. And finally, if we change this to mark as contacted, we should see, here we go, we should see this new email. And this has been sent. So from workflows, so you can see that it's been generated from the workflow system. It has sent us this information. This submission has been changed to contacted. So if you need to add in any type of workflow to your web form submission, then I'd highly recommend that you take a look at this module. I was actually pretty surprised. This is the first time that I've actually played around with it. I haven't used it on a actual production or a proper site, but it works pretty well. And he worked pretty flawlessly, really. Now there are a couple of submodules where you can integrate it with views, but you'll need the web form submission, I think, views module, and then you have Maestro, Maestro is kind of like ECA. So it's like a competitor, that's my understanding of it, to, event condition and action. So that's another module to take a look at if you want to build out any type of workflows. All right, so that is about it. If you want to add in workflows to Drupal, then I'd probably take a look at content moderation first, because that's in core and that's supported by a lot of modules, but it works off the revision system. So you have to make sure that your entity type that you're going to use supports revisions. And generally, if you're going to use it on content types, then you would use it on that. But also understand a content type can only have one workflow. That's very important. And then you've got field states transitions, that is at the field level, that gives you more flexibility. So any type of entity system that supports fields that are fieldable can use this. But you probably have to, I'm just trying to think if there are situations where you will have to do a bit of work. You probably may have to just do a bit of work to kind of glue things together. And then, of course, if you want to use, if you want to add workflows to Webform submissions, and take a look at Webform Workflows Element for you. So that's about it. I hope you have all learnt a lot. It's actually a bit of a short one. Normally I go on for about an hour and a half, but it's only been 45 minutes. Anyway, that's all right. That's all right. I guess I'm not talking about AI, so that's why it's pretty quiet. I'm joking. Anyway, well, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Drupal, head over to WebWash. And also, if you want to check out our other live streams, go to the live, I think it's a live section on the YouTube channel, and you'll see all of them. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. And also, if there's any topics you want covered, please let me know, because I'm always on the lookout for topics. Always need to learn something new. And yeah, if you have some great ideas for future live streams that are simple to learn, not like, oh, how do you do performance testing? So, well, that's a very subjective thing. Please let me know. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. All right. That was quick and easy. I hope everyone who's watching, not sure how many people are watching. Well, to be honest, this wasn't the most glamorous topic, which I understand. Hey, they can't be absolute bangers every week, because I just wouldn't have the time to do anything else. Trust me. Now, I did want to cover what is it? I keep saying web form. Workflow module, because believe it or not, there is a workflow, singular, not plural. But when I did try this module, I just got fatal errors when I was using it. And it did recommend that to run this patch, but then I ran the patch and it still didn't quite work. But then I noticed that they did push up a change. What's the 14th today? Now they pushed up a change today, which probably could have fixed it. But I really didn't want to test it out just before my stream. So unfortunately, I'll probably have to look at this later. But this module looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. And it's got the installs as well. Look at that. Look at that. 5,500. Oh yeah, well, as most things in Drupal, it kind of peaked at 2016 and then it's been going down ever since. No, that's right. Drupal's ready for a comeback. Comeback tour, right? With Drupal CMS and Drupal Canvas and Drupal AI, all that stuff. All that good stuff. All right, well, that is pretty much it. I will stick around just for a bit if anyone has any questions or they want any questions answered. I'll be happy to answer them. So, how is everything else going? 2 on there. That's right. That is all right. Okay, well, let's just finish it off. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'll catch you all next week. See you later.